She left me for a man who couldn't even pay his own phone bill. Everyone said I'd melt down, beg, collapse. Instead, for months later, I was the one smiling, and she was the one standing in the rain, shaking, realizing what she'd thrown away. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Your support keeps these stories alive that I still remember that Thursday evening like it was a movie scene playing in slow motion. I pulled into the driveway after another week of brutal overtime. Late nights, skipped lunches, extra deadlines I volunteered for just so I could afford the biggest surprise I'd ever planned. The air felt crisp, the house lights glowing through the fog like everything was normal. Too normal. You know that eerie quiet you notice before your life flips upside down. That was the feeling hanging in the hallway when I stepped inside. Our place usually hummed with sound, TV murmuring some show she binged, her laugh echoing from the kitchen, the smell of her favorite candles drifting through the rooms. But that day, nothing. Just silence thick enough to taste. I set my work bag down, loosened my tie, and found her standing by the window, motionless, staring out at the neighbor's mailbox like it held answers to every problem she'd ever had. "Hey," I said softly. "Long day." She turned around slowly, and the look on her face wasn't exhaustion or irritation. No, this was something colder, something rehearsed. Her arms were folded tight, like she was trying to hold her whole world together before it shattered. I could feel tension pulsing off her, but I tried to stay calm. "What's going on?" I asked. "I think," she swallowed hard. "I think we should separate." Just like that, soft voice, sharp words. It hit like someone had kicked a steel door into my ribs, but I forced myself to stay still. Not flinch, not plead, just listen. She kept talking about how things weren't working, how she'd been thinking about this for weeks, how she needed something different. It was the kind of speech you give when you've practiced it in front of a mirror 20 times that I didn't interrupt. Didn't argue. Didn't ask why I was hearing this on the very night I planned to surprise her with a brand new electric car I'd spent months breaking my back to afford. But the moment she hesitated, barely a second, I knew. "Is there someone else?" I asked. She didn't answer immediately. That silence was all the confirmation I needed. "It's not like that," she said finally, her voice trembling. He needs me right now." "He," I repeated, leaning against the counter, still calm but colder now. "Jason," she whispered. "My ex. His business failed. His divorce drained him. He's lost, really lost, and you want to go take care of him." I finished. She winced like I'd slapped her with the truth. "You're making it sound worse than it is," she protested. "You have a good job. You're successful. You don't need me the way he does." That was the moment everything inside me froze. Not broke, froze. Because right there, in our quiet kitchen, she wasn't picking a new love. She wasn't chasing passion or excitement. She was chasing someone who made her feel important. Someone weaker. Someone she could save. While I was out killing myself to build us a future, she wanted to go rebuild a man who had already fallen apart. That I reached into my pocket and felt the car keys, the ones I'd been planning to hand her the next morning with a smile. The gesture suddenly felt like a joke I hadn't known I was telling. "You've got this all figured out then?" I said evenly. She kept rambling about history, about connection, about understanding each other. But I didn't need to hear another word. I walked to the drawer, grabbed a notepad, and wrote down my attorney's number. "You can call this on Monday," I said, sliding it across the counter. "We'll handle everything through him." She stared at me, stunned. Maybe she expected a meltdown, a screaming match, a plea not to leave. But all she got was silence. "Cold, controlled, final. That's it," she whispered. "You're not even going to try?" "You just told me another man needs you more than your own husband," I said. "Tell me, what is there to try?" I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" she called after me. "Out," I said. "When I get back, if you're serious about leaving, be packed." Her voice cracked behind me, but I didn't look back. Not once. For the first time in years, The night air felt sharp and clean as I walked to my car. And somewhere deep inside, past the shock and the silence, something new was starting to breathe, something strong, something waiting. When I got back home a couple of hours later, the house felt different, not just quiet, but emptied out in a way that felt intentional. Half her closet was gone. A few drawers stood open, leftover hangers bending like abandoned skeletons. On the counter lay a note, rushed and apologetic, saying she'd be staying with Jason for now. I didn't bother reading the rest. I tossed it into the trash, then called the dealership and canceled the pickup for the car that was supposed to be her surprise. The salesman sounded confused. I told him life happens. The next morning, waking up alone for the first time in years, I expected devastation to hit me like a freight train. Instead, there was only stillness. I brewed my own coffee, strong, burnt, the way only I liked it, but never made because she couldn't stand the smell. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the business card I'd written the night before. Richard Harris, divorce attorney. It was supposed to be a backup plan for someday. Now it was the only plan. Noon rolled around, and my phone buzzed, a text from her. Long, emotional, trying to justify leaving me to rescue her ex, something about doing the right thing and hoping I'd understand. I deleted it instantly. A knock on the door startled me. It was my neighbor, Mrs. Turner, the unofficial surveillance system of the whole street. She glanced past me into the house. Saw her leaving yesterday with suitcases, she said. Everything all right? We're separating, I replied. Her eyebrows shot up so fast I thought they might fly off. Well, I can't say I'm shocked, she murmured, lowering her voice. I didn't want to interfere, but I've seen a man pick her up a few times these past months. Always at lunchtime. Different cars. Always when you weren't home. Her words hung heavy between us. How long? I asked quietly. 2 months, maybe more. 2 months. While I was working overtime to buy her a luxury car, she was sneaking around in parking lots with her ex. I thanked Mrs. Turner and shut the door before the numbness turned into something hotter. By Monday morning, I was sitting in Richard Harris's office, a man who looked like he'd been forged out of old courthouse bricks and black coffee. No nonsense, no sympathy, just results. After I explained everything, he nodded once and said, "This will be straightforward. No kids, separate finances. She's living with another man. We'll file for divorce based on abandonment." He handed me paperwork, and I signed without a second thought. Walking out of his office, I felt lighter, not healed, not triumphant, just lighter, like someone had quietly removed a weight I didn't realize I was carrying. Instead of going straight to work, I stopped by a coffee shop I'd never tried before, the kind with hipster bulbs and chalkboard menus she would have mocked for being pretentious. The barista, a kid named Leo with bright eyes and a messy apron, asked, "First time?" "Yeah," I said. "What do you recommend?" "Something new," he grinned. I liked that idea more than I expected. The drink he made tasted like confidence and fresh starts. I sat by the window, watched strangers pass by, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't rush home to report my day or ask what she wanted for dinner. Work that week felt different too. Clearer, lighter. My supervisor, Donna, approached me midweek and said, "Whatever you're doing differently, keep doing it. You're sharper than ever." Funny how removing chaos from your life can clean up your mind too. Then Thursday night came. That was when my phone rang again, her number lighting up the screen over and over. I ignored it until it became impossible. Finally, I answered. "What do you want?" I asked. "Please don't hang up," she rushed out. "Jason, things with him, they're not what I thought." I stirred pasta sauce on the stove, completely unbothered. She kept talking, how Jason wasn't grateful, how his story didn't add up, how maybe she'd made a mistake. When she finally asked if she could come over to talk, I asked her one question. "When you decided to leave, did you think about what it would do to me?" "Of course, no," I cut in. "You didn't." There was a silence thick enough to fill the room. Then she whispered, "Can I come home?" Can we fix this? No, I said calmly. Just like that. Just like that. I hung up, muted my phone, and poured myself a drink. The next evening, I met my buddy Marcus for dinner, a friend I hadn't seen in months because, as he liked to joke, my wife kept me on a leash. Now I was off it, and dinner tasted better than freedom should. He shook his head after hearing the short version. She left you to play house with a guy who can't even keep his life together? Man, you dodged a bullet. I didn't disagree. When I got home, more missed calls, more voicemails. I didn't listen to any of them. I ordered pizza with toppings she hated, watched the action movies she refused to tolerate, and realized the silence filling the house wasn't empty. It was peaceful. By Sunday morning, I slept in, made pancakes, and lounged on the couch watching football at full volume. Nobody complained. Nobody sighed dramatically. Nobody asked me to change the channel. It was heaven. Around noon, the phone rang, an unknown number. I answered without thinking. Is this about Jason Miller? An older, gravelly voice asked. Who's asking? Name's Terry. Worked construction with him. Your wife called me asking if what he told her was true. What exactly did he tell her? Terry snorted. That he lost everything. That he's broke, desperate, barely surviving. Truth is, his business is fine. Bought a new truck last month. He played her. Again. After he hung up, I just sat there, letting it all settle. Jason had fed her lies. She had swallowed every one. And I didn't feel anger. I didn't even feel satisfaction. I felt something much cleaner. Relief. Real relief. My life was finally mine again. Monday arrived with a strange, steady certainty running through me, like my life had finally clicked into its rightful track. I stopped by Richard Harris's office to sign a few more documents, and he confirmed everything would move quickly. Given her living situation and her choices, he said, adjusting his glasses, I doubt she'll contest anything. I walked out feeling like someone had lifted a curtain inside me and finally let the sunlight in. I wasn't celebrating. I was just breathing easier than I had in years. That afternoon, I treated myself to something simple, a new coffee from the shop I recently discovered. Leo greeted me with a cheerful, the usual, and for the first time in a long while, I actually smiled. Not today, I said. Let's try something different. He made something smoother, simpler, and I sat by the window again, watching strangers live their normal lives. No drama, no chaos, no one depending on me to fix their mistakes. The week passed peacefully, with work feeling sharper, cleaner. Without her constant emotional storms, my mind was clear enough to actually think. I stayed late on Tuesday, not because I was avoiding going home, but because I wanted to finish a project. Donna congratulated me the next day on landing a huge client, and I realized I'd been operating at half power for years without even realizing it. Thursday evening, the calls started again, this time frantic. I ignored the first 6. Eventually, I answered, more out of curiosity than concern. Her voice sounded hollow, stretched thin. Please, she whispered. I need help. What happened now? I asked, stirring dinner. Jason is gone, she said, choking on her words. He left town. He took the money I lent him, and the money I took from our joint savings. You took money from our joint account? I repeated, cold and calm. It was just temporary. I thought he'd pay it back. I thought we'd build everything together. But now I'm behind on rent, my credit cards are past due. Call your family, I said. Already did. They won't help me. Friends. They're tired of the drama. Then maybe it's time to deal with your choices. She started crying harder. I know I hurt you. I know I ruined everything. But please, I'm begging you. I don't have anywhere to stay. Where are you now? A motel off Highway 7. Weekly rate. It's all I can afford. I knew the place. Tiny rooms, flickering hallway lights, mattresses older than their guests. Not dangerous, but not the kind of place she ever imagined herself landing. I need a safe place to figure things out, she whispered. Can I stay with you? Just for a little while. No silence. Heavy and wet, like a soaked blanket. Why? She finally whispered. What would it hurt to let me sleep on the couch? I almost laughed. Because you're not my responsibility anymore. I made one mistake. No, I cut her off. You made a chain of choices. You chose to meet him behind my back. You chose to believe his lies. You chose to leave your marriage. You chose to take our money. Every step was a choice. She sobbed so hard I almost didn't recognize her voice. I know I don't deserve your help, but I'm asking anyway. And I'm saying no anyway. I hung up, turned off my phone, slept like a man who hadn't slept in months. The next morning, I returned to the coffee shop. Leo remembered my name now. He smiled, made small talk, handed me my drink like I was a regular. It felt good to be just another face in a cafe instead of a caretaker to someone who didn't even know what she wanted. That afternoon, Richard called. We still haven't been able to serve her papers, he said. Do you know where she's staying? Try the weekly motel on Highway 7. I replied. His pen scratched on the other end. This will move fast once she's served. And he was right. As the days passed, my life started forming a rhythm I'd forgotten existed. I woke up to a clean, quiet house. I cooked what I wanted, watched what I wanted, bought groceries without a list. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was peaceful. Work became rewarding again. My boss even hinted at another promotion if I kept this momentum. It was like living without background noise for the first time in years. Then, one Friday evening, my friend Marcus called. You remember my girlfriend, Lauren? Yeah. She works at that diner on Maple Street. Guess who's working there now? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Yep, Marcus continued. She says your ex looks rough. Double shifts. Barely talks. Just tries to survive. Okay, I said. Okay, that's it. What do you want me to say? I don't know, Marcus sighed. Don't you feel bad for her? I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. No, I don't. Man, you're cold. No, I said quietly. I'm clear. That was the difference. I wasn't punishing her. I simply wasn't saving her anymore. A week later, Richard called again. We served her. She won't contest, he said. You'll be fully divorced in about 6 weeks. I thanked him, hung up, and for the first time since she left, I felt something close to joy flutter in my chest. That weekend, I did something symbolic, something I'd been putting off. I went back to the Tesla dealership. The salesman recognized me instantly, smiling like he'd been waiting for me to return. Back again. Yeah, I said. But this time, I want something for myself. I test drove 3 models before settling on a midnight blue Model S with the performance package. Smooth, powerful, quiet. Like the life I was building now. When I finally drove it home, the evening sun reflected across the hood like the first clean page of a new chapter. I washed it the next day, the hose spraying arcs of light across the driveway, when a beat-up sedan pulled in. Her sister, Ashley, climbed out, tight-lipped and tense. Her friend sat in the driver's seat watching. We need to talk, Ashley said. No, I replied, continuing to drive the car. We don't. She's in bad shape, Ashley insisted. She can barely afford food. She's lost weight. She's working herself to death. You used to care about her. I used to be married to her. That ended. So you won't help her at all? Not my responsibility, I said. She walked away. That choice belongs to her. Ashley stared at me, stunned. You've changed. Yeah. I folded the towel neatly. I finally have. She left without another word. As their car pulled away, I saw my ex in the passenger seat. She looked small, hollowed out, fragile. But for the first time, I felt absolutely nothing. That night, I called my parents. We talked about holidays, work, fishing trips, normal things untouched by chaos. You sound happy, my mother said. I am, I answered honestly. And lying in bed later, staring at the quiet ceiling, I realized something powerful. It wasn't her downfall that made me content. It was the simple, steady truth that her life was no longer intertwined with mine. My peace didn't depend on fixing her anymore. My happiness was finally my own. For months after she walked out of our house with her suitcase and her certainty, the night everything came full circle arrived without warning. It was a Tuesday in November, one of those nights when the rain hits the windows so hard it sounds like the sky is trying to get inside. I was on the couch, reading a book I'd been putting off for years, wrapped in the kind of calm I never knew I'd been missing. Then the doorbell rang. Once, twice, persistent. I set the book down and walked to the door, expecting maybe a delivery left at the wrong house. Instead, when I looked through the peephole, I saw an entire crowd on my porch. My ex, her mother, her sister Ashley, a woman I didn't recognize, and a man in a suit holding a briefcase. For a moment, I just stood there, stunned at the sheer absurdity of the scene. I opened the door, but didn't step aside. They were already soaked from the rain, their jackets clinging to them like heavy, defeated armor. My ex looked exactly how everyone had described her. Thinner, pale, exhausted, as if life had sanded her down to splinters. She used to take an hour getting ready just to go to the store. Now she looked like she'd been living out of a car. "Can we come in?" she asked, her voice trembling. "We need to talk." "We can talk here," I replied, leaning casually against the doorframe. The man in the suit stepped forward. "Good evening. I'm attorney Mark Fuller, representing Ms. I corrected calmly. The divorce was finalized last Friday. He blinked, thrown off for a moment, then continued. "We're here to discuss a possible reconciliation." I almost laughed. Reconciliation. They brought a lawyer to convince me to take her back. Her mother spoke up next, wringing her hands as if trying to squeeze sympathy out of the air. "She's learned her lesson. She knows she made a mistake, a terrible mistake." Ashley chimed in, her voice sharp but desperate. "She's working 2 jobs. She's barely eating. She understands what she threw away." I stepped out onto the porch, closing the door behind me. The rain soaked my shirt instantly, but I didn't care. It felt appropriate, cold, cleansing. 5 pairs of eyes stared up at me like I held the key to a burning building. "Let me get this straight," I said evenly. "It's been 4 months since she left me. She moved in with her ex, lied to me, took money from our account, and disappeared. And now you're all standing here because what? Things didn't work out." My ex took a step forward, tears already streaming. "I know how it looks." "No," I cut in quietly. "You really don't." The lawyer tried again. "Sir, if you're open to negotiation." "Negotiation?" I repeated, raising an eyebrow. "You're here to negotiate her way back into my life." He cleared his throat. "There are arrangements that could be made. Financial support, mediation, counseling. If you would consider." "So you want to pay me to take her back?" I said, deadpan. Her friend stepped forward, eyes filled with pity. "She's been punished enough. She's suffering. She's lost so much." "Punished?" I asked softly. "You think having to work a real job is punishment? You think facing the consequences of your own choices is punishment?" No one answered. Rain hammered the roof above us, filling the silence. My ex sobbed, wiping her face with trembling hands. "Please, I know I don't deserve it, but I'm begging you. I need another chance." "You want another chance?" I said quietly. "Let's talk about chances." I reached into my pocket and pulled out the sleek new Tesla key, the one for the midnight blue car parked safely in my garage. "I had a chance to surprise you with a car the night you left," I said. I kept the keys in my pocket instead. Her mother gasped softly. My ex broke into fresh tears. "I had a chance to chase after you," I continued, "to beg you to stay, to fight for our marriage. I didn't take that one either." I let the key dangle between my fingers, its smooth surface reflecting the porch light. "And I had a chance to answer your calls, to let you back into my life, to be your safety net after Jason ran off with your money. But every chance you expected me to take, I didn't." My ex stared at the key like it was the final nail in her mistakes. "You bought it anyway," she whispered. "For yourself." "I did," I answered simply. "A better one. For me." The rain surged harder, dripping from their hair and coats. I lowered the key and took a slow breath. "Here's what's going to happen," I said calmly. "You're all going to get back in your cars and go home. You're going to accept that this marriage is over, that I've moved on, And that showing up on my doorstep with a lawyer won't change a damn thing. My ex choked out. Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? The same thing every adult does when they make bad choices, I said. You figure it out. She stumbled backward as if the words hit her physically. The lawyer looked at the ground. Her family exchanged helpless glances. I opened the door, paused, and added, "Don't come here again. Don't call. Don't send anyone. We were done 4 months ago. Tonight just proves it." Then I stepped inside and shut the door. Through the window, I watched them stand there for a moment, shivering, defeated, unsure of what to say or where to go. Eventually, they trudged back to their cars and drove away. The rain kept falling. My house stayed silent. And for the first time since she left, I knew, with absolute certainty, it would stay that way. I poured myself a glass of whiskey, picked my book back up, and let the quiet settle around me like a warm blanket. Peaceful, solid, mine. If you've stayed with me this far, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Your support means everything, and there are more stories waiting for you.